All right, welcome back, guys. Here we are with our design transfer. We've already made our 8 designs for ink blots and for double faces. So we're going to go through and do these transfers. The first thing we need to do in setting this up is to draw out the squares that the rectangles you're going to paint in. I am measuring mine out and I'm making them 9 inches wide and 6 inches tall. All the ones that I'm going to be using are going to be horizontal. So I've got these. I'm going to pick one and I'm going to mark off the middle. So I'm starting with example A. So example A is going to have 2 colored backgrounds, one on the left, one on the right. So you'll need a midline for that one. Now I am going through and extending this, drawing out 6 inches for both the sides. Here goes 9 inches. And this is going to be, for example, B. So there's A, there's B. Moving on, we'll switch over and draw out the next 2. So I'm using just a clear plastic ruler. Makes it easy to be able to see that things are lined up and that they look correct. So there's my 6 inches. This one's going to be example D, so I'm going to have a midline for that one as well. So there's 2 examples that are going to need this big rectangles divided into 2, and that's example D and example A. So now I've got all those drawn together. It's time to transfer. So I'm starting off with example A, and I've got a piece of fine charcoal, and I am rubbing that all across the back of my ink blot. Then I'm going to line it up with the center. Okay, there we go. And I'm just using a Bic pen, and I'm going to trace my ink blot. And as I trace it, it is going to transfer the charcoal down and onto the paper below, the Bristol paper. So you can see me kind of going around it. It's nice to have something that you can actually see if you've traced it or not. So I recommend a colored pencil or a pen, something with a hard edge, because otherwise it might not transfer very well. Now that I see that I've got transferred that, before I stop, I'm tracing it again with a pen so that I can go through and wipe away the extra charcoal. That can get very messy and make it hard to paint. So I'm going to retrace this really quick. Almost there. And there we go. Example A is done. I can wipe away all that charcoal. Putting the line there so I can see where the division line is between the 2 sides. So now I'm going to put down my double face. This is example B. And I'm just going to go ahead and start tracing this out. This you'll use just like a stencil. You're going to go ahead, line up the edges, and just trace around it on the outside, and then also trace around it for the eyes, the mouth, and the nose. With both of these examples and the other ones that we'll do, really, it's okay if it's not exact perfect. You're going to paint on top of all this. So let's say on an ink blot, you do a zig when you should have done a zag, and it looks a little bit different. Nobody's going to know that after you paint it. So don't really worry about whether your tracing is perfect. A little fix right there, and that one is done. We'll move over to example D. I don't think that I ideally would have chosen both the ink blots for A and D and both of the faces for B and C, but I don't think it really matters. You can put any design on any one of them. Doesn't really matter. This is just kind of how it ended up happening. So this is example D. I'm tracing around the outside of this just like before, like we did on example A. This one is lined up with the middle, and there are some center lines to kind of help me line it up. I could always go through and switch up the order if I wanted to choose something different. But for now, I think I'm just going to stick with what I've got. So I've got my tracing. Now I will go, it's transferred. I'm going to trace it really quick with a pen so I can again wipe away the charcoal. I don't need that. I don't want it. It might mess up a color, especially if I use a yellow or something very light or bright. Having charcoal mix in there can be frustrating. So I'll avoid that by wiping away the extra and tracing this with a pen. I would also not use a very, very soft graphite pencil. That might also frustrate. That's done. Here's our final design here. I think I'm going with this first one. And I'm just going to trace around it really quick. Trace the inside, do the eyes, do the mouth, do the nose. Then go to the outside, trace the outside edge of the head, just like a stencil. You're just going around, tracing it step by step, all the way around. Make sure you don't miss any spots before you pull it up, so you're not having to go back and guess or measure it again. Nearly done, and voila, we've got our tracing made. So here is examples A and B, and here is examples C and D. Thanks for watching, and good luck.